morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of Vault of the Cult. I'm your host, Mackenzie Lambert. We continue our October special with another bona fide classic. We first started with Texas Chainsaw Massacre from director Tobe Hooper, then followed it up with Peter Jackson's first feature film, Bad Taste. For this episode, we are looking at the film that cemented the horror reputation of not only the director behind the camera, but also the leading man in front. We are going to take a look at Sam Raimi's horror comedy classic, Evil Dead 2, starring Bruce Campbell. Evil Dead 2 opens with Ash and his girlfriend Linda going to a remote cabin for a romantic getaway. While in the cabin, Ash comes across a recording on a desk. The recording is by Professor Noby, the owner of the cabin, who discovered an ancient tome, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. The recording contains passages that bring forth spirits of the dead into the world. For the first half of the film, Ash is alone in his battles with various demons spawned from the evil of the Necronomicon. Whether it's against his possessed girlfriend or his own hand, Ash must battle for his very survival. Soon he meets Anne, the daughter of the professor, and others. One by one, the people are possessed until Ash and Anne team up to send the demons back to the abyss where they came from. However, Jake isn't making it easier for them. It comes to a tense confrontation between the Deadites and Ash, with Anne reading the passages to send them away. First and foremost, let's address one of the big conflicts with Evil Dead 2 in relation to the previous Evil Dead. There may be some disagreement as to whether this is a remake or a sequel due to the opening scene with Ash and Linda coming to the cabin, without mention of the others that came with them. Allow me to clarify this once and for all. Raimi and Campbell have mentioned that the original Evil Dead was under ownership of New Line Cinema. When making the sequel, they were unable to get the rights to use clips from their previous film to help catch up the audience. In place of using Evil Dead, the opening of Evil Dead 2 can be seen as a modified summary of the first film, the focus being more on Linda and Ash instead of the other friends with them. Within the opening 10 minutes, the film picks up where the last one ended with Ash outside of the cabin being charged by the mysterious force. This trend of having to reshoot scenes from previous movies for opening sequences due to rights issues would continue with Army of Darkness. The original film was clearly meant to be a serious horror film, yet there were moments of absurdity that came off as funny. In the follow-up, Raimi and company made it clear to amp up the comedy with the horror taking a back seat. There are moments that will make you jump or turn away, but it's done with such comedic sensibilities it doesn't turn off the viewer. There are genuinely inspired moments of comedy. Ash's own hand smashing plates over his head and judo tossing him is a sight to behold. The Warner Brothers style antics between Ash and his hand are highlights of Campbell's solo scenes. The life and furniture sequence borders on the surreal. While the laughs from Campbell come from him playing the role straight with a bit of tongue-in-cheek, the obvious comical character would be Danny Hicks as Jake. He brings the hillbillies in a haunted house character to the cast, and it works. Campbell and Hicks work off one another with a polished contrast akin to classic comedy teams. While the film clearly plays the violence for laughs, there is still a lot of blood and gore. Hands are chopped off, there's blood floods, a headless body attacks Ash in the workshed with a chainsaw, a disembodied head in a vice is sliced in half off-screen. This film takes such a ridiculous approach that one but can't help but laugh at the film instead of being disgusted by it. The gore effects by the team led by Mark Shostrom was impressive for the low budget of the film. The Henrietta Monster by his crew, featuring future founders of KMB Effects, remains a fascinating design made all the more lively by the performance from Ted Raimi. Doug Beswick, who assisted with the stop motion work for Linda, also worked on the TV program Davy and Goliath. I'll give you a few moments to let that sink in. The man behind this also worked on this. The cast of this film is probably one of the best all-around group of actors in the Evil Dead series. In addition to the aforementioned Campbell, Raimi, and Hicks, you have Cassie Wesley as Bobby Joe, Sarah Berry as Anne, and Denise Bixler as Linda. Future QVC pitchman Richard Daumier fulfills the role as one of the more expendable characters. The Three Stoogian-esque antics of the film are due in part to both the writers, director Sam Raimi and Scott Spiegel, being huge Three Stooges fans. The sequence where Bobby Joe gets the eyeball in her mouth was taken from the Three Stooges short Microphonies.
Muscling in on our territory. We gotta do something to stop him. I got it, fellas. Here.
Spiegel would be noted for his own slasher film, Intruder, as well as being a frequent collaborator with Quentin Tarantino. Cinematographer Peter Deming started with this film, but would go on to work on major studio projects like My Cousin Vinny, Lost Highway, Austin Powers, and Oz the Great and Powerful. Joseph Loduca returns to compose the music. If there is a problem with the film, it's that it suffers from a slowdown before the third act. There is a bit of a fatigue from the action of the first two-thirds of the film, with the last third feeling like it was in need of an energy transfusion. However, the film picks up with the lead-in to the next film, Army of Darkness. I'm not sure about the other versions of the film, but there was an early 2000s DVD released by Anchor Bay that has one of the best commentary tracks I have ever heard for a film. Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, Scott Spiegel, and Greg Nicotero essentially riff on the film they worked themselves to death to make in the summer of 1986. Campbell is often the butt of many jokes on the track, but the group get jabs in on producer Rob Tappert and the crew.
Actually, my favorite thing about her T-shirt is we paraded two different T-shirts for her to try on. One was a normal T-shirt that just hung normally. The other one was this vacuum-formed one. And I remember Rob Tappert, the producer, going, "Well, there's no question about it, the vacuum-formed one."
Ah, Robbie, I know. He goes, baby, you want to play house? You be the screen door and I'll slam you all night long. No, I'm sorry. I'm kidding,
Actually,
Rob. Sorry, Rob.
Evil Dead 2 stands as one of the most respected horror films, let alone one of the best films of the 80s. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell gave the film much-needed attention and respect for the audience. To say the least, this film gave us the Ash we know and love to this day. And that finishes this look at Evil Dead 2. Thanks for watching. Feel free to share your thoughts on this classic in the comments section below. If you would like to stay on top of future content, go ahead and follow my channel. I'm Mackenzie Lambert with Vault of the Cult. Until next time, take care and stay scared.
Thank you.